Hey guys, what is up? This is Marty me once again, and yep, it's finally that time. It's a new year, and I got a new top 10. We got new movies coming out, but before I talk about those new movies, let's talk about last year's movies, specifically the 10 best ones that I saw in 2025. Of course, there were a lot of really good movies, a lot of really bad movies, but I always like to focus on the good movies that come out this year because they're the movies that I feel like I will remember the most. They're the ones that I've been talking about the most. So let's talk about those films. As always, I gotta bring up, this is just my own personal list. If you mention, why is this movie higher than that one? Or why is this movie not on the list? Why is this movie just an honorable mention? It's just one of those occasions where if your favorite movie is not on my list, it isn't because I didn't like it. It's just I didn't like it as much as the other 10 that I have put on here. But I always gotta bring this up. This is my list. This is a list of opinions, not facts. But then again, there were a lot of movies on here that a lot of people did enjoy, so hopefully you enjoyed at least some of these movies that were on this list, but if you don't, that's cool too. I'm just here to have fun. So without further ado, let's get into it, but of course, some honorable mentions. There's actually more honorable mentions than entries on my list, but hey, nonetheless, all of these movies need some mentions. So without further ado, let's get into the mentions, which are Together, Black Bag, The Naked Gun, Zootopia 2, Begonia, 28 Years Later, Sisu, Road to Revenge, The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie. I know that was technically 2024 or 2023 or whatever, but it didn't get a full release till this year, so whatever. Frankenstein, Neja 2, K-Pop Demon Hunters, Bring Her Back, and Final Destination Bloodlines. And one more honorable mention I need to bring up isn't technically a film that came out this year, at least not fully, as this is kind of like, well, okay, it's Kill Bill, The Whole Bloody Affair. Technically, it came out years ago, but the full cut of the movie did not come out till this year. But I have to bring it up because it was one of the most fun, lengthy experiences I've had in the theater. It was one of the most fun that I've had with a Quentin Tarantino film. It was pretty much the reason why I loved both volumes to begin with, and seeing both volumes slightly expanded upon, plus a new additional feature, all in one, was such a great experience. So it's not technically a full 2025 film, but I'm putting it as an honorable mention anyway because I loved every second of it, especially since, I gave it a perfect score. But yeah, with all the films that did make it onto the list, let's talk about them. Starting things off at number 10 with a film that isn't particularly fun, but it's not particularly boring either. The Long Walk is a very unforgettable experience, and it's one that I still remember after watching it 3 months ago. This is a film that's both gut-wrenching and also heartbreaking, but also very emotional on all the right notes. It's one of the most depressing Stephen King adaptations that I've seen, and there are a lot of depressing ones, some surprisingly uplifting ones, but this follows under the line of depressing. As much as you really want to grow attached to these characters, it's really hard to do so when they are in absolute hell and struggling a lot as they are forced to go on this journey where only one of them is going to make it out alive, and you just wish that everybody could survive it. But they did a great job with the direction. They did a great job with the idea of the film, thanks to the fantastic performances. Mark Hamill giving one of his strongest in quite some time. The Long Walk is one walk I will soon never forget. At my number 9 spot is a comedy film, and while Naked Gun might have been the comedy film that made me laugh the hardest this year, in terms of my favorite comedy film overall, I'd have to go with Friendship. This film, I feel like, is so relatable in the fact that, it's one of the most uncomfortable and cringe films that I've seen, but it's cringe in that same way that Borat is cringe. It's that it's so funny and uncomfortable and absolutely bizarre. Well, not as bizarre as that film, but I just feel like it manages to be cringe in all the right notes, and the fact that, we laugh with the cringe rather than at the cringe. Because despite the fact that this two's friendship would seemingly be wholesome, ends up being absolutely toxic. But it's all thanks to the phenomenal performances and the unpredictability that the story goes. Only A24 could make a film this uncomfortable and so funny that it just manages to hit on all the right notes. It managed to tickle my funny bone at just the right moment, even when it does start, getting quite embarrassing. But that's really what the charm of this movie manages to bring in. It's one comedy film that I saw myself, very uncomfortable watching, but at the same time, one that I found myself laughing with throughout the entire time because it just knew what it was doing right. And it's by far one of the funniest films A24 has given us. At my number 8 spot, some advice: if you love Top Gun Maverick, you'll absolutely love F1. It's from the same director, and just like Top Gun Maverick, it is super well paced. It is very memorable when it comes to its performances. And if you love racing, this is one to check out. Brad Pitt gives a very stellar performance. The movie knows exactly what it's trying to do. The scope of the movie when it comes to actually going into the race cars, feeling like you're actually driving the car, especially when it comes to, seeing the film on the biggest screen possible, particularly IMAX. It manages to be a very, very powerful film that never feels boring, despite its 2.5-hour runtime. It just knows how to hit all the marks. And it was by far one of the most entertaining experiences I've had this year. You ever worry that when a franchise is so good, you ever wonder if it's ever going to lose its steam? Well, the Knives Out movies haven't lost their steam yet. In fact, I feel like they managed to get even more memorable. Case in point, Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery. I really enjoyed Glass Onion. In fact, I enjoy all the Knives Out movies. While I don't think this is it's almost as good as the first one, I can definitely say, though, it manages to be even better than Glass Onion. The best thing about these movies is that you don't really need to watch them in any particular order. Despite the fact that they're all canon in the same universe, this is a film that just specifically tries to be a film rather than being an expansion onto a franchise. It manages to be another very unique and interesting murder mystery that never feels like it slows down. It has elements of lighthearted humor here and there, combined with very phenomenal performances, memorable characters, and all around a very engaging mystery that never feels like, it's trying to copy and paste what it did with the previous films. Rian Johnson showed that, despite the fact he pissed off a lot of people with Last Jedi, showed that he can win people back with this franchise. And with Wake Up Dead Man, I would not care if he made 3 more movies because he absolutely knew what he was doing with this one, as well as the previous entries. At number 6 is a film that came out in January. And when it comes to movies coming out in January, I don't see them making my best of the year list. But Companion was by far the most memorable film to come out in January that I still haven't forgotten. Companion is one of those interesting thrillers, and the fact that if you avoid the trailers, you'll get so much more out of it. It goes in so many directions and ways that I was not expecting, and even though the trailer would seem like it gave away a little too much, honestly, it didn't give away too much for me, as I didn't know what exactly this movie was going to go for. But with the amount of screen time all these people got in terms of, the couple relationships and the fact that they were going to go in very, very, crazy ways, it was all around an interesting thriller with ways that, I wasn't entirely expecting. It has solid direction, great characters, great performances, and it was an hour and 37 minutes of pure mayhem that I did not think I needed to see this year, but I'm glad that I did. Hence why it makes it nearly halfway onto this list. Let me tell you something. If there's one thing that we can all agree on, it is that war is a very terrible thing. And the fact that it could happen at any time when we just pray that World War III never happens. Case in point, Warfare is one of the most realistic war films you could watch. While it's not heavy on violence, despite the fact that it is violent, it's not like Saving Private Ryan levels of violence or Hacksaw Ridge levels of violence. But the point is that it never really needs that. What it really needs to do is feel realistic. And the fact that this is one of the most realistic war films that makes its hour and 35-minute runtime feel like it has just enough that it doesn't really need to expand on any characters or anything like that. And it's thanks to the fact that one of the directors is a war veteran, and the fact that he's partnering up with Alex Garland made the movie even better. This was all around a film that I just could not look away from. It was very intense, very deep, and it was just all around a film that I could consider to be one of the best war films in recent memory. While sure, it might not have been a hit at the box office, but that's a shame, because it was one of the best big screen experiences I had all year, and it needed to be seen. But one of these days, if it does get re-released, for an anniversary or something like that, there is plenty of reason to see it on the big screen. But nonetheless, at home, you can still get a lot from it. Warfare is truly an unforgettable experience, and one of the most unforgettable experiences I've had this year. Do you ever feel that you worry that, a movie trailer looks so good that you're worried that the actual movie isn't going to be what you were hoping it would be, but in my opinion, Weapons delivered on every single thing it was going for when it came to its trailer. It never gave away too much. It gave you just exactly what you needed to know before watching the movie itself. It's a very character-driven film that manages to deliver on horror, but also being an interesting one at that. Everything that it does, from its performances to its storyline to its unpredictability, and the fact that this movie goes absolutely insane, just like Barbarian, which Zach Cregger directed that as well as he directs this. It goes to show you can expand your library of films and make them just as memorable, if not even more memorable, than your current film or the first film that you made. This was all around a very unique experience, and I got to see this in IMAX. What an experience it was. And it made a huge amount of money at the box office. On just a $38 million budget, it made like over $250 million worldwide. Yeah, it goes to show that it really managed to live up to the hype and the hope of it, doing well at the box office. Movies like this really give me hope that, despite the fact that it's trying to go into a more bigger budget territory, unlike Barbarian, it goes to show that, as long as you know exactly what you're doing, you're guaranteed a hit. There's always that one movie that comes out towards the end of the year that I feel like I just have to see before making my best of the year list to make sure that it would actually be able to make my list. And case in point, Marty Supreme was so good, it made number 3. The Safdie brothers have been, doing their own thing this year. While Benny Safdie directed Smashing Machine, Josh Safdie went to direct this. It's kind of weird since this was getting more love than Smashing Machine, so you just gotta wonder, was Josh Safdie really the one getting the most credit for this? Was he really the most talented one? I mean, no offense to Benny Safdie, I liked The Smashing Machine, but oh man, Marty Supreme was not what I expected. Timothée Chalamet gives one of the best performances that I've seen him in, and he's been in so many movies this current generation. The fact that he was the actor to watch, and with movies like this, you are guaranteed to get yourself a memorable experience. He gives an absolutely insane performance. His determination and all the shit that he goes through throughout the film in order to, wanna, get himself back into the ping pong mood to, just, it was so wild. It was something that I was not expecting. There are things throughout this movie that I just did not expect, and the 2.5 hour runtime just flew by like that. It was all around a very memorable experience, and it was one of probably the best film to come out this year to end off with an absolute bang. I absolutely loved every single minute of this movie, and it's one that I am not going to forget anytime soon. And I know I say that with every single movie that I really enjoyed, but I am serious. I am not going to forget this anytime soon. And Chalamet is definitely worthy of an Oscar. Okay, it's pretty obvious what the next two are, but in terms of my number 2 spot, it's one of those things where I was debating, does this make number 1 or does this make number 1? Well, from number 2, I'm going to put One Battle After Another. If you love Paul Thomas Anderson, this film is definitely up your alley. Sure, it might have disappointed at the box office, but then again, it was made on a huge budget. But nonetheless, Paul Thomas Anderson still showed that, he has a massive talent when it comes to his direction. If you were bored with films like Phantom Thread or Licorice Pizza, I wasn't. I thought both films were great, but this movie had a lot more going for it in terms of, its entertainment and the fact that, it has so much when it comes to, big named actors like Leonardo DiCaprio, the fact that he gives one of the most memorable performances of the year and plays one of the most memorable characters of the year as well. His determination through all the shit that goes on throughout this movie, it just has that Paul Thomas Anderson feel that never feels like, it's a film that just slows down. It manages to hit all the right notes when it comes to its comedy, to its drama, to every single character motivation. Sean Penn giving a very memorable antagonistic performance. This was all around a very, very entertaining film. And despite the fact it's nearly 3 hours long, it never felt that way. It's a shame it didn't get nearly as much love as it should have at the box office, but nonetheless, it's truly one of the most unforgettable films of the year. Some people might call it overrated, which is fair enough, but for me, I loved every second of it. Okay, guys, it was pretty obvious what number 1 was going to be, if it was going to be One Battle After Another. But in case you don't know what it is, I'll give you a few hints. It's a Warner Brothers movie. It made a big impact at the box office. It was released in IMAX. and has one of the most original ideas that I've seen from a film ever. And the fact that it wasn't adapting into anything. I think you know what it is. A Minecraft movie. Chicken Jockey! Dude, of course it's Sinners. What else was it gonna be? Yep, my favorite horror movie of the year is also my favorite movie of the year. But I've been talking about this film ever since it came out. This movie is a good example on why we go to the movies. This was a film that was not adapted from a book, not adapted from a TV show. This was simply adapted from Ryan Coogler's mind. You got very memorable characters, all of which I cared about. The fact that Michael B. Jordan played two characters that I cared about. And while, yeah, it may be a slow-moving film, it was never a boring film. It's a lot more than just another vampire movie. Some people will think of it as another version of From Dusk Till Dawn, but to me, it wasn't about that. It's about celebration of music and black culture, and it was just such a moving film that never feels like it needs to, try too hard. It's a film that tries just hard enough. This is a film that gave me so much hope this year. I'm so happy people went to go out and see it. I'm glad that, directors actually care without having to, rely on, experimenting with AI or having AI write films for them. This was a film that knew exactly what to do. It made all of its 2-hour runtime worth it, and it was the film that spoke to me the most this year, and that's why, in my opinion, is the best film to come out this year. And that's something that I'm never going to take back. And that is it, ladies and gentlemen. Those were my picks for the best movies of 2025. Let me know down below what your favorites were, and hopefully we'll get some more great films to come out this year. I hope, anyway. But, yeah, I make one of these every year, so there are bound to be some. So, yeah, but anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you guys so much for watching me in 2025, for all the people that supported, continue to watch. I had more hits than I did in some of the previous years, and the fact that, I'm almost at 9,000 subscribers. I'm so glad that you guys continue to support me and continue to watch me, despite the fact that, I'm not really good at what I say. I'm not really good when it comes to editing, but I do still try to make content as good as I possibly can for you guys. So thank you guys so much for watching, and hopefully, we'll have another good year of videos from me. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, maybe subscribe for more. You can also follow me on Twitter, Instagram, or maybe Blue Sky. Links are in the description. And I'll see you guys later. Word out.